Welcome back to GOP Tech Week. I'm Ron Robinson, and look where I get to work. Isn't this wonderful? You know, historians suggest that when George Washington said he wanted to retire to his vine and his fig, that he was comparing himself to Caesar, who said he wanted to do the same thing. And here I am in Southern California experiencing a beautiful mid-May, which I hope you are too. And there's my fig, and my vine is right up there. But I'm not comparing myself to Caesar. Anyway, for this week's version of GOP Tech Week, we promised you something non-technical. And boy, are we going to deliver. We had to go back on the promise earlier in this week in order to deliver a technical report on some encryption failures. And that was technical, I confess, it really was. Now we're coming through with the non-technical report, and I think this is going to be really helpful to you because it's less work all the way around. So this week's GOP Tech Week, pardon me, this week's GOP Tech Week, first tip is write less. Work less, write less, and we all spend a lot of time writing, I think. We're furnishing content is one of our biggest jobs, and so write less, and here's how to apply that tip. First of all, think of the 40 character limit that we have on email subjects. Now there's a reason for that 40 character limit, and I'll go into that in just a minute. But I want you to think of applying that 40 character limit everywhere. On the headlines of your blog post, on your tweets, on your Facebook headlines, everywhere where you have to convey an idea to introduce an article or something that you're going to elaborate on. Try to stay within that 40 character limit. Now, this rule comes from the email, from the mass email world, where we need to try to snake our emails past those email servers that are running programs like SpamAssassin, and all the rules that they have on those email servers where they're trying to decide is this spam or not. Well, if you exceed that 40 character limit, you're weighted heavily toward the spam side, and you're probably going to get flagged and go into the spam folder. So that's one reason for the 40 character rule. Now there's another reason that's even bigger than trying to stay out of the spam folder, and that is that when we develop our thoughts into 40 characters or less, that's an instant path right into our target's brain. You know, they're scanning their email box just as fast as they can to find all the emails that they're going to delete, and we need to focus their thinking on something. We need to hit them with something that they're going to be able to just run their eye past, and wait a minute, they're 5 emails down now, and they're going to go back up to that because you had an idea that they conveyed, it got into their reptile brain, and maybe they even clicked before they thought. That's the best way to do it. But you're not going to convey a simple, actionable idea. It's hard to do it in less than 40 characters. So to get that direct path into your subject's brain, keep your ideas less than 40 characters, and that's going to help a lot too. So that's why I want to apply that rule across everywhere we can, in our tweets, on our Facebook pages, in our blog posts, in our headlines, everywhere. Subheads within an email. Try to apply that everywhere you can, and you're going to receive a lot more hits and a lot more clicks, a lot more email opens. You're going to find yourself having a lot more success with your mass email and with your other communications as well. Wherever you try to apply that rule, you're going to start realizing more success in conveying your ideas. Now, tip number 2. This is the one that I said was going to make your head explode, okay? And I hope it does. Tip number 2 is get rid of those Facebook and Twitter logos, icons inside your mass email. We've done years and years of A/B testing, some requested by the candidate, some not, but we always want to test, and we're always retesting because we assert this a lot among our clientele, and we want them to get it. So we have to be able to say we've A/B tested it, and it's actually scientific. Get rid of the Facebook and Twitter logos in your email. It distracts your clientele. It distracts the people you're trying to communicate with. You're trying to get them to click the donate button. Why are you giving them something to surf off to Twitter or to Facebook where they're not going to donate? Keep them going in the direction that you want them to go. In addition, the Facebook and Twitter logo are a dead giveaway to SpamAssassin. That this is a spam email. It's like holding up your hand and saying, I'm spam, put me in the spam folder, and you don't want to do that. So take those logos out. There's other places, and we'll get to this in next week's GOP Tech Week. There's other places where you want to put those icons, where you want to put those buttons that are actually going to help you, and they will be acted on, because we've proven that too, okay? We use platforms like Nation Builder where we can actually prove what's getting clicked on, what isn't. So we've actually done metrics. We've done measurements to see where to put these items, where they get the most attention, where they get the most response, where they get the most action. And we'll tell you about that in next week's GOP Tech Week. So get rid of those logos, put them somewhere else, and that's going to shorten your work in preparing a mass email. Finally, tip number 3 for our 3-tip episode today: make them click to learn the whole story. Some of us remember a guy named Paul Harvey who was on the radio back in the radio days. And he was a charming guy, you know. He sounded a little odd, but it was kind of a good odd, you know. So Paul Harvey would tell part of a story, and then you would listen to his commercial, and then he would tell you the rest of the story. And people found him charming, and they loved his stories. He always had a good story. He was in huge demand as a speaker, and politicians would want him to endorse them and everything like that. And he was a phenomenal success back in the day. But we can still use an important principle that he was taking advantage of. And that is, tell part of the story, get the action you want, then tell the rest of the story, because people want the story. You know, it's especially big in liberal politics right now of, what's your story? This story this, story that. Okay, yeah, we get it. Okay, but you can use the story to your advantage, tell part of the story, get them interesting. I like to describe it as tell the fetching part of the story and then fetch them. So fetch them into your website, get them to click to come to your website to learn the rest of the story. Now, one application where this is really important would be in an event. Let's postulate here. Let's say you have a July 4th event and you've got a huge name speaker coming to town. It's going to speak side by side with your candidate. One's going to speak, the other's going to speak. You've got a big name, you've got an endorsement, blah, blah, blah. Cool. Big win. Good for you. Okay? So let's do it this way. When we send out that mass email, first of all, let's only give them part of the story and get them to click to come to your event page, okay? Now you've got, you know, you're telling them the full story, the time, the date, everything like that, the part of town where it's going to be, everything like that, so people can start to plan their transportation. But don't tell them the exact address until after they RSVP. Force them to RSVP, and remember, you collect an email address when they RSVP. So you're collecting an email address, and they're getting to RSVP for your event, and people will understand this. All you have to do is say, we want to make sure that we don't exceed the capacity of our venue. You know, with a big name speaker, people understand that. So put the actual address of the event on the RSV thank you page or in the RSV thank you email, and that way people know exactly where to go, and they can show up, and the people who did not RSVP they're excluded from the event. You know, you're with a big name, you're going to fill the event up anyway, and you're going to collect an email address on every single person who RSVPs. So how cool is that? And it's done. We've done it on dozens of campaigns. I know of other consultants who do the same thing as much as they can. There's quite a few events where you can't really do that. There's some events where, you know, maybe a party meeting where people come in, they're going to dine and take in the meeting. You know, you can't do it with an event like that. But there's lots of events, half of your events you can do this with, and that's going to help you build your email list, because you're getting new emails that other people, you know, new emails from people that you haven't been communicated with before. Plus, for events like that, people are going to forward those emails. You don't have to ask them. Please don't ask them. They're going to think of it all by themselves. Just do one ask in your emails. So they're going to think of forwarding the email all by themselves, so just let them do it. And that way you're expanding the reach of your audience, building your email list, and taking it all in at the same time. So that's it for the 3 tips that we have for this episode of GOP Tech Week. Next week, we'll tell you exactly where to put those Facebook and Twitter icons that you took out of your mass email. Because there are places, we've measured, we've done the A/B test, there are places where you can put those icons where they actually work and they are productive for you. And you only want to put them in the places where people are going to use them. If you take the shotgun approach, you're disempowering your campaign, you're asking for stuff that people aren't going to grant you, and that doesn't help you look good. You want to look good, give them the action items in the places where they are going to take action, where yeah, that makes sense, I need to do that. Otherwise, if you're just doing a shotgun ask, it disempowers your campaign and you just look kind of silly to people who are looking at your content. So keep that in mind. 40 character limit on everything, on headlines and stuff like that. Avoid those Facebook and Twitter logos at the bottom of your mass email and make them click to learn the whole story. Make them come to your website or come to your event page to learn the entire story that you started to relate to them in the email. You know, tell them a fetching story in the email and use that fetching story to fetch them into your website. That's it for this week's GOP Tech Week. I'm Ron Robinson. Thanks for watching.